The goal of this demonstration is to show how to add a new team to a project team who already exists and work together. Our example project is an e-commerce website that sells products such as books. The name of the project is Shopping Cart. So we have an existing team that works on defining the requirements and business rules which are relevant to selling products over the internet, as well as the project's glossary. Steve and Alice are members of that team that we call the analyst. Another team work on the architecture on the basis of the requirements defined by the analysts. So naturally, links will be created between the architectures and the requirements. For example, the architects will be able to use a link to specify that an architecture component implements a requirement. And our demonstrations will start at this stage. We will add a new team who will be in charge with implementing the website, and Richard will be the first member of that team. The implementation will be based on the requirements defined by the analyst and on the architectures defined by the architects. Links will be drawn between the different repositories. Thanks to Modelio and its traceability links, we'll be able to identify the impact the evolution of the requirements will have on the architecture and the implementation. To show the capacities of Modelio, instead of establishing a direct connection on the requirements repository, we will publish a frozen version of it on an HTTP server for the developers team. So, we will log into Constellation as Tony. Tony is a project administrator in charge with several projects. Once we're connected, we can see the list of projects that Tony can manage. And the project we will be dealing with is, as said before, the shopping cart one. The dashboard sums up the project. It shows the latest news, the bug trend over the last 30 days, and the project activity. In the project overview, we can modify its description and status. We can, for example, freeze the project to prevent any modification on the models, or definitely close the project when it has been completed and no one should connect to it anymore. The project map shows that the project is composed of two parts, requirements and design. The project uses the document publisher module for document generation purpose and the Excel Exchange module to export model elements to Microsoft Excel. We can also see the different user profiles and the list of users who have access to the project. We can add an external URL to an intranet, a forge, a blog, or even a wiki that describes the project's architecture or any other useful information that we want the project members to access. So now we'll create a new user who will be part of the shopping cart project. We go to the users page, and there we can create a new user. We'll name him Richard. So we type in his login, first name, last name, and an email. Then we will edit this user and add him to the shopping cart project. Now, we open the profiles page that displays the models and libraries visibility, as well as the functionalities that are available to users in accordance with their responsibilities. For example, Steve, who is an analyst, can only work on requirements, while Emma, who is an architect, can access both the requirements and architecture parts of the project. Now, to meet our need, we will now create a new profile. And we will add members to this profile. So we choose the right profile, which is developer, and we edit the user. Of course, we're going to send a notification to Richard so he knows he's now part of the project. Now, our new profile is ready, and we can focus on adding work models and libraries to the project. Our new developer needs to be able to work on the implementation of the project. So we'll create a new work model which will be available to the developers only. We need to choose the right profile. And we can see that the work model was created. It is created in read-write mode. We could also set it as read-only. For example, the design fragment is in read-only mode for the integration profile. To be able to implement in Java, our developer will need a JDK library. So we open the libraries page and add the JDK library from the Constellation catalog to the developer profile. Richard will also need the Java Designer module, so we'll add it to his profile. We can see here the list of all available modules, and we add the Java Designer module to the developer profile. We also want to upgrade the Document Publisher module for the whole project. In the module upgrade page, we can see a central part that shows the modules which are currently being used in the project. We can see a more recent version of the module we want on the right side. So we move it to the central part to activate it. We've just seen how to add new work models and libraries to the project, but we also need to add existing ones to the developer profile. For example, to allow our developers to work on the design, we need to make the corresponding work model available to them. So we choose the developer profile, check the right work model, and enroll it. We can see there a modifiable option which is used to set the work model as read-write or read-only, as we saw earlier. We will also add a predefined types libraries and the modeler module which brings necessary functionalities. To do so, we need to edit the library and the module. The green check sign indicates that the fragment has been enrolled in a profile. Eventually, we want to add a specific parameter to the Java Designer module to make the option mandatory and non-modifiable to users. We will force the encoding of generated files to UTF-8. Now, we want to publish the requirements model on an HTTP server. To do so, we will use the Constellation scheduled tasks. First, we need to create a new task. We'll name it Publish Shopping Cart Requirements HTTP. We type a name and description, select the person the task will be run as. We need to add a step. And we could choose a scheduling from the drop-down list. If you choose every day, for example, we then need to specify a time of execution. We'll say 11 p.m., for example. Okay. Once the task has been scheduled, we can manually try it by clicking on this button. And we can see that our task has been run. Once the model has been published on the HTTP server, we can add it to the project and make it available to the developers team. So we enroll the shopping cart requirement snapshot model to the developer profile. Now, Constellation makes it possible to create a portal for the project, and the portal can be either composed or external. We'll choose to compose our portal in Constellation. We can add or remove blocks and drag and drop elements from the left-hand panel to the portal page composer. So let's add the users list to our portal, and here's the result. Constellation also allows us to connect our projects to a bug management tool so as to deal with the fixing of bugs throughout the project's life. The Bug Tracker page shows the bug tracking overview, bug reports graphs, statistics, and latest updates. The bug tracking tool can be set by clicking on the Configure button. Now let's have a look at the activity log page. It displays a list of the project logs, and the SVN log page, which shows the list of the latest SVN operations carried out by the project users. Finally, we're going to publish a news message to inform the project members that the shopping cart configuration has changed. So we type in our message, inform people that Richard has joined the project, for example, and we don't forget to notify the users. Now, the project is all set in Constellation, and the new user can connect it in Modelio. So we run Modelio, and we will show how to connect Modelio to the new with the new user who is Richard. Okay, so we go to File and Join a Constellation project. Richard will need to retrieve his password, which he has received by email. And we can see that he's also received the other emails that we sent as notifications. Once we've clicked on Connection, we can see that Richard can only see the project he has access to. So we choose Shopping Cart and connect to it. Other users may have a different list depending on their access rights. Now, this operation will take 1 or 2 minutes to complete. That's because Modelio has to load the different libraries and work models from the remote Constellation server, potentially via the internet. However, this only takes that much time during the first connection. Later connections will be faster. We will see that Modelio loads the design and requirements work models. It will also deploy other modules used in the project. We'll soon see the JDK, which is the biggest part here. So that's the one that will take most time. Just opening the elements. And here we go. Okay. In the Modelio project, we can see that Richard has access to the necessary work models, as well as read-only libraries that he'll use to develop in Java and to implement the requirements published on the HTTP server. In the configuration window, we can check the Java Designer properties and see that the mandatory parameter that we have set in Constellation is there too. Now, Richard can start working in the shopping cart implementation model. We'll first create a Java package named org.modelio. And in this package, we'll create an account class. Now, we'll make the account class implement a use case from the design work model. We use the search tool to select the Manage Client Account use case in the shopping cart design model. We then select the account class, pin it in the link editor, and then we create a traceability link by simply drag and dropping the use case. And the direction of the link depends on where you drop the use case. We will now create an inheritance link from the account class to the dialog class, which is from the JDK library. We'll do this in a class diagram this time. So we unmask the account class in the diagram. We use the search tool again to select the dialog class in the JDK library, and we unmask it in the diagram just above the account class. Now we can draw the inheritance link between both classes. And we can see that the link we just created also appears in the link editor. Now, all the work models are now connected from the requirements to the Java code. If we select the account management requirements in the link editor, we can see that there is an impact on the use case Manage Client Account defined in the shopping cart design work model, and also another impact on the Java code with the account class, which is defined in the implementation work model. We will now go back to Constellation to see how we can change Richard's access rights to the project. So we log in as Richard again. And we can see that Richard can change his password, for example, or he could change his avatar. That's a nice Richard. But the problem is Richard has no sufficient rights to administrate the project. We can see that he only sees the portal, and by the way, we can see the modifications we have carried out to the portal. The new messages here, and the list of members as well. It is now needed that Richard be an administrator of the project. So, an existing administrator has to grant him the necessary rights. So we log in as Tony again, and we go to the users page to modify the configuration of the user Richard. We edit the user, go to Project tab, and we activate the administration rights. There we notice that Richard has been granted full administration rights on Shopping Cart. If we want to restrain those rights, we can fine-tune them. For example, we could prevent him from creating work models. Once we're satisfied, we just validate that. We sign out, and we log back in as Richard. And there we can see that Richard is now an administrator of the Shopping Cart project. And this is the end of our demonstration. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any question, now is a good time to ask it.